I try to look forward as much as I can, but I also, and this is very important too, is I stand in the mirror once in a while and say, hey, am I doing everything the best that I can?
Yeah.
Because if I'm not, I need to change something. Or if I'm having, a problem with any relationship, whether it be a friendship, my wife or my daughters or anything else, it's like I try to stand back once in a while. Self-realization is wonderful, man. You have to stand back and you have to say, is this me, or can I change this, or do I need to tweak something a little bit?
Welcome to No More Strangers. I'm your host, JT Erickson. In this episode, I spend time with someone that I had actually met as a stranger 2 weeks before we taped the episode. It was a cold morning in West LA, and I saw Rob sitting on a chair across the alley from the place I was staying. I was heading down to tape an episode in Orange County, was making a quick run to get some coffee, and decided to see if he wanted any while I was out. 20 minutes later, I was heading down to Orange County and had a new person in my life. It turns out you never know how things will go when you decide to have a conversation with someone new. For me, Rob stopped being a stranger that day. I hope that after this conversation, he won't be a stranger for you either. And we're live.
Good morning, brother. How are you?
Good morning, brother. Rob Cochran, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, this is maybe the second time we've seen each other.
Yes, sir.
First time,
and
it was a cold morning.
It's a little warmer this time.
Significantly warmer this time. And we're in this nice little alcove. I kind of love this. The moon's up. It's
Nice.
early-ish morning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just starting to be daylight.
Exactly. Yeah. You just did your rounds.
Yes, sir.
So just for reference, Rob, you're a security guard right now.
Yes, sir.
My standard question, hey man, how'd you get here? Because
Wow.
this is cool.
Wow, it's a long road. So I was a police officer for 30 years. I'm a retired police officer. And when I retired, I had a buddy who worked for this company who works for a Christian outreach organization called Samaritan's Purse. He asked me to come work with them. And I've been working with them on and off, every year during this special project for about 6 years.
Okay.
Now we find ourselves here. They're out here trying to help the people in the fires, and they needed a guard at their place. So of course, now I'm here.
Yeah, which is exactly where I found you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just sort of across the street, and it was one of those. Man, you look cold. I'm getting some coffee. You need anything? Yeah. And you just came right over and started chatting.
I was bundled up in a ball in my chair,
Yeah.
Heard somebody coming up to the gate, and I figured I might as well investigate.
Yeah, better try to make sure he's safe.
Yes.
Not gonna cause any problems.
Right.
Yeah. So security, policing, or how do people refer to it? I'm never even sure. Sometimes I want to say, hey, are you a cop?
Yeah, just an armed guard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What drew you to this line of work?
Well, when I was little, my mom was a single mom. My mom was a single parent, and we lived in Lenox, right on the border of Inglewood.
Okay.
I used to see the LA County sheriffs coming out and helping people. I mean, Lenox was a real bad neighborhood, and I used to see them a lot going to different domestic calls or whatever. And I was really intrigued. I would always see the police car out there and see, hey, they were leaving, and somebody might be going to jail, but somebody else was happy or relieved that they had been helped out. So I just that kind of stuck in my head as hey, they're out helping people, and I want to see what they do. So on and on, time goes on, and we moved on. We moved to Torrance. My mom got married, and we moved to Torrance when I was, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11, 12. And then I saw Torrance Police Department doing the same thing. Still kind of just, in the back of my head, hey, they're out helping people.
Right.
Time goes on, progresses on. I was working for Nissan Motor Corporation, and I was a reserve police officer with Hermosa Beach Police Department. I became a reserve police. So I put myself through the Reserve Academy, became a reserve police officer with Hermosa Beach Police Department. And as I was doing a reserve police officer, they just augment patrol. So in other words, they're a volunteer to be there to fill an extra seat in the car, right, to help out, right? Manpower, right?
More than a ride along, less than a full-fledged.
Yes. So I found myself taking vacation time from my primary job to go work for free as a police officer. So.
Oh wait, for free?
Yes, for free.
So reserve was unpaid?
Reserve was unpaid, yes. So then there's so much gratification when you can go somewhere and somebody has a problem, no matter what it is, if it might be, hey, my next door neighbors are loud. Hey, there's somebody fighting down the street. Hey, there's kids lighting fireworks. Hey, I got burglarized. Hey, I've been a victim of whatever kinds of crime. But it always made me feel fulfilled when I would leave and I would see these people, and these people would say, hey, thank you. And I was like, wow, that was my calling. It's something that I took to heart. And it's kind of what I do now. I was a reserve officer for 3.5 years. Hermosa Beach Police Department sent me through the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Academy. That's where they send their people for training. I came back and I was a full-time police officer with Hermosa Beach for 3 years. They talked about layoffs. It's just a very, very small city.
Yeah.
You're familiar with Hermosa Beach?
I am.
Okay, yes. And so they talked about layoffs. They talked about contracting their law enforcement with the LA County Sheriffs. Manhattan Beach, a city just north of Hermosa Beach, was hiring. They're a more affluent city, and I put in my app, and I went through the process, and I got hired at Manhattan Beach, and I never looked back. It was quite a stark contrast between Hermosa and Manhattan.
Yeah, Hermosa's probably the sleepier beach
it's
community.
the other way around.
Really?
Hermosa.
I always thought Manhattan Beach was hopping.
And nowadays it is, but back then, if you're familiar with Hermosa Beach, Pier Avenue used to be a drive-through all the way down to the pier. So now it's a walk street, but it used to be a drive-through and all those bars down there. So, but the big thing with Hermosa Beach is there's a lot more. It's a lot more of a transient community, and when I say transient, I'm not talking about homeless. I'm talking about more renters and more partiers, and so. But Hermosa and Manhattan, Manhattan is about 3 times the size of Hermosa.
Okay.
So it's a little bit bigger, a lot more affluent, and I got hired on there anyway. I got hired on there, and I never looked back. I was I worked patrol. I worked beach patrol. I worked bicycle patrol. I was on the SWAT team for 10 years. I worked motorcycle. When I retired, I was on a motorcycle. I'm a traffic accident investigator. I've been through basic, intermediate, advanced, and recon. Those are all traffic investigation schools.
Yeah.
So but once again, the whole theme there has been service, because it's always made me feel good when I could go look somebody in the eye and help them with whatever problem they were having.
Yeah.
And that kind of translates. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. What do you think made that such an important element in your life? I mean, I know you had seen them helping people as a child, but
I also think, I saw my mom struggling as we were growing up, and so I just kind of, maybe that was part of it. Maybe it was my mom was struggling, so somebody obviously helped her at certain points in her life, and so I thought, man, if I can help people, that's, maybe these kids without a dad, or maybe these, people that are having marital problems, or maybe somebody who's been burglarized and they're afraid to be in their house or something like that. If I can show them a little bit of hope, maybe.
Yeah.
If I can give them some hope.
Yeah.
Hope that somebody cares.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because that's sort of not what we see on TV about, LASD or LAPD or any of that, right? We get a very different narrative about why folks are taking up the job, and that's striking to me, because you were also SWAT, and you were also all these other positions within the patrol. How does your experience of it sort of juxtapose, or is it aligned with what we see on TV?
Well, I think what you see on TV is scripted. I think that when you see things on TV, oftentimes there's a narrative behind it.
Okay.
We are very driven by the news media and whatever else, and I believe that they kind of steer you down whatever path they want to steer you down.
Sure. If a story doesn't fit what they're hoping to continue to push, they just won't print or publish or show. Okay.
Because who better to be the bad guy than the cops, right? The cops are out trying to do the job they need to do, and the firemen are America's heroes, man. They go out, they do no wrong. Everybody loves the firemen.
To be fair, no shade being thrown at firemen.
Right?
Here.
No, none at all.
Yeah,
none
they're
at all
great.
here, no.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they're not out enforcing laws. Yeah. Nobody likes to be told no, right?
Yeah.
People don't like to be told no. So that's why the cops become the bad guys.
That tracks. That tracks. Something you had mentioned in one of our prior conversations was also your approach to policing. I think you had said even if it's a cold day, always have your window down.
Yeah.
Can you sort of go into that? I think that was a really
Sure.
interesting element.
I believe that part of policing, or part of policing, is basically making sure people are following the rules, right? Making sure things are going, society is intact. And I think in order to do that effectively, you have to build a relationship with the people. I mean, the people have to trust you. The people have to know, hey, that's the cops, or that's Rob, or whoever, whatever.
Right.
And not be afraid, not be like, oh, I got to run, I go the other way, or not feel like it's us against them. So I think if you drive around town with your windows up, that's just putting another artificial barrier, and that's making that relationship even less. It's really easy to sit down with someone one-on-one and talk to them, and they knew who you are. And so, hey, we're all human beings. We all have good, bad, and we all have strengths and weaknesses. And I'm no different than any of these other people. And I just have a little bit of training and try to take things the other direction.
Yeah. It's sort of, I mean, that tracks with my experience growing up in a small town in Northeast Ohio, right? Like, you knew who the cops were.
Right.
It was so-and-so's nephew or grandson or brother-in-law, or sometimes, little alcoholics, but whatever, they figure it out.
Right.
Because like you said, we're all just people with the same problems.
Right.
Just different positions.
Everybody has the same problems.
Yeah.
You think about it, and we're all from the human race. We've all got different walks of life and whatever. But I mean, nothing, no money, nothing else can take away any of our problems.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a good way to put it, because we're all human, and I sort of hammer this point home frequently. But we're all just doing the best with the situation we've been given.
Absolutely.
And we can change our situation to an extent, but I don't know how that works. Yeah. I don't know what the barriers are, or the guardrails, or how we perceive of it.
You just say, I try to look forward as much as I can, but I also, and this is very important too, is I stand in the mirror once in a while and say, hey, am I doing everything the best that I can?
Yeah.
Because if I'm not, I need to change something. Or if I'm having, a problem with any relationship, whether it be a friendship, my wife or my daughters or anything else, it's like I try to stand back once in a while. Self-realization is wonderful, man. You have to stand back and you have to say, is this me, or can I change this, or do I need to tweak something a little bit?
And it's not always easy to recognize sort of the flaws or the mistakes that you're making, because we get this big ego thing, like, oh no, I'm this, I'm just this, great, perfect person.
And I think sometimes that, you were talking about what we see on TV about the police. And I think sometimes, once again, all of us being human beings, I think sometimes that ego does play into that. And that's why sometimes you see these issues that you see with police, is that they've given a lot of power, and sometimes they're very young kids when they're coming through, very young individuals, and sometimes it's hard to manage all of that power that you've been given. I had very good mentors when I was coming up through the police, and they taught me a lot about the Constitution. I'm very, very framed in the Constitution and constitutional rights that people have.
Yeah.
And one of the things I remember one of my FTOs telling me is that
FTO?
Field Training Officer.
Got it.
Is that, hey, listen, there's a really good test for yourself when you're thinking about things that you do out here in the field, is if I do it and it ends up on the front page of the paper, am I going to want to look at that paper?
Right.
Am I going to want my mom to look at that paper, my grandma to look at that paper, my kids to look at that paper? And if you can answer yes, then you proceed. Yeah. If the answer is no, then maybe there's a little some way that you need to tweak this to make it better.
Yeah.
I had some very good, I'll say, very good mentorship coming up there.
Yeah. How consistent was that, weird way to say it, that quality of individual in other FTOs? Or was that consistent throughout the force? Or
yeah, it was pretty consistent. Yes.
That's really cool.
Yes.
That's really
cool.
Cool.
I think that a lot of times we see cops, like I said, through the eyes of the media. And some of these cop shows are really good to watch, the ones like Live PD or Cops or whatever, because you get to see this through the eye of the policeman, not through the eye of somebody who is pushing their agenda.
Yeah.
But also, you got to remember with cops is that it's also edited. You know, I mean, it's
for
also
sure.
edited. You know, nah, we don't want to show that. We don't want to show. We want to show this, right?
It's still a form of cherry picking.
Right.
Yeah, because we're all human.
Yes.
That being said, I mean, I think there is this understanding or expectation that we should be able to hold, our police officers to a higher standard, just because of the importance, I think, of the role that they're playing.
And I agree 100%.
Yeah.
We should be held to a higher standard.
Yeah.
Because,
Which feels weird to say, but good God, look at what you guys are tasked with.
well, I think it goes back to relationships again.
Yeah.
In order to be policed, the people have to let you police them. How's that?
I didn't think about that.
That's pretty deep, right?
Weirdly.
Yes.
Yeah. For 6 a.m. on a Saturday.
But if we have a good relationship, you're going to allow me to police you, right? I'm going to check you if you're doing something wrong, and you're not gonna say, "Oh, poor me, they're picking on me." You're going to go, "Ah, dang it, I messed up."
Yeah. I think that requires a two-way awareness, sort of an agreement.
Right.
And I don't know that a lot of people recognize that as an agreement.
Not at
because
all.
we have places where it's more an imposition against an existing culture or
Yes.
approach to life that's just sort of being pushed down on them. And that makes it, I think, difficult to maintain or build the conversation that you're referring to.
Yes, it does, and I think the cops in the bigger cities have it a lot more difficult. I was in a very small. Both of the communities that I mentioned are affluent communities in the South Bay.
Yes.
So it's a little bit easier there.
Yeah.
I think that when you have a very large, busy. See, one of the other things is busy.
Yeah.
Now, if these cops are so busy, they don't have time to establish that relationship, right? They have to go out and they have to take care of business and move to the next one. Mm-hmm. So they don't have time to explain things to people or show people the right way, or they just boom, 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 call after call after call.
So it loses the opportunity to have that personal
Yes.
engagement, and you don't have any community building. You don't have any, I don't even know how to say this, the capacity to understand each other. It's,
Right.
okay, I'm filling out paperwork, get out of here, kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's one of the things that I had it easier in my career was I worked in very small communities, bedroom communities where I was able to establish that relationship. Mm-hmm. I was able to take that extra time to talk to these kids or to talk to the parents or something like that, not just brush them off and see you later, I got to go to the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, and it raises a lot of questions in my mind when you're describing it that way, because most of my experiences in life have been in smaller communities. And I wonder often about how one could scale effective policing or effective anything. As communities get larger and larger and larger, you start to lose the opportunities to scale up the enforcement in a positive way because of exactly what you just said.
Right. Well, then it becomes, say you have one cop to every 5,000 people in a small place, or one cop to every 2,000 people. In the big cities, you're getting one cop to every 20,000 people. So your effectiveness tends to go down a little bit, or a lot actually, exponentially.
And in higher density areas, people have you're engaging with more people more frequently, and tempers can spike.
Yeah, and then the diverse communities, you get a lot bigger diversity, and
which means different cultural expectations.
Yes, and they feel under-policed or over-policed. I mean, I mean, trying to please everybody. Number one I think it would just take too much resources. I think that we don't have that. We don't have the money. We don't have the resources to take care of it, to effectively establish that relationship that's very important. And that's why you see a lot of these small communities have, happy police officers driving around, just having that good relationship with their people. You can sit around and talk to people.
Looks like a TV show from the 50s.
Yes. Mayberry RFD. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So something else you had mentioned, you were SWAT, but if I recall, you've never pulled a trigger in service, at least.
I was on the SWAT team, and I was on the SWAT team for 10 years. The SWAT team at my department was a collateral assignment, which means that I still worked patrol or I still worked motors, whatever I was doing, but SWAT was a collateral assignment. So that was something else. If we had a SWAT call out, they would pull me from the field and I would go with the guys and we'd go out and do whatever we needed to do.
Got it.
The great thing about SWAT is it provides you a lot of training that maybe the guy who's not on the SWAT team, one of the other officers might not have that training. So it's a lot more of a tactical approach.
Sure.
Different tactics. That's what SWAT stands for, Special Weapons and Tactics, right?
Right.
Okay. So, no, and you said something about pulling the trigger. No, I've been in, I don't know, maybe over the years, 4 or 5 situations where, I was pulling the trigger. It was there. It was going. It was happening. But by the grace of God, it didn't, and I remember seeing the hammer on my pistol starting to come back because I was pulling the trigger and it's happening. And, then it diffused and then it was like, oh, I can let go of that trigger now. Okay, right, great.
We can de-escalate now.
Yes. Yeah. So I hear people talking, the cops want to go out and shoot people and it's the last thing on a cop's mind. Mm-hmm. Believe me. I am so happy that I went 30 years and I never had to pull the trigger on somebody. I never had to shoot anybody. I've pistol pointed people,
Sure.
I've pointed guns at people, given them commands and whatever, but I've never had to shoot anybody.
Yeah. Is that common? That people will make it 30 years without having to pull a trigger? It is. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You obviously you go to bigger cities, you got a lot more crime.
Maybe a higher rate.
Maybe a cop by himself where his situation required him to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Because the bad guy goes, wow, this guy's by himself. Now where I got 2 or 3 guys behind me, this guy's by himself. Yes. Yeah. So I think a lot of those things, and your tactics, those tactics we talked about.
Tactics as well as the training.
Knowing, being able to talk to people.
Yeah.
Sometimes just talking to people de-escalates things,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On top of that de-escalation, there's been a lot of conversation in the last, I don't know how long, but I've been aware of it for maybe about a decade, about continuing training and education for folks on the force, keeping them abreast or apprised of how to de-escalate or when to, put the gun down.
That's an interesting thought, and the training I was provided whatever training that there was available, and I could go whatever I sought, they sent me to. Okay.
Right on. So this was self-directed, or?
Well, it was both. You're required by. There's an agency called POST. It's Peace Officer Standards of Training.
Okay.
Okay. And they require so much advanced training per year. You have to have so many hours per year to remain current, right? Just like nurses and doctors and everybody else has the same thing. But I don't think you can't tell somebody. I can't look at you as a police officer and say, hey, in this situation, you don't pull the trigger. In this situation, you don't pull the trigger because we're not there.
Yeah.
And that's the way a lot of people see this, and a lot of people go, well, why didn't they shoot him in the leg, or why didn't they?
I've heard of that. A lot of Monday morning quarterbacking.
Yes. Why didn't they tase him and whatever? And until you're there, and until you're the one that's staring down that barrel, or until you're the one that's in that situation, you can't really say, hey, don't shoot in this situation, or don't shoot in this situation, because you never know. Because part of that is the officer's perception or the officer's perceived threat. Because I got to go home at night. I got a wife and kids at home. I got to go home at night.
Yeah.
And also, if I let this bad guy take me out, I have weapons on myself. I have weapons in my car, and is he going to use those against somebody else? So there's a lot at stake there. So I don't think you can really tell somebody when to pull the trigger and when not to pull the trigger.
There's, a couple of ways I want to take this, but I think the more pressing thing here is the recognition that there's a lot of stress. Like, you're in situations that are pretty brutal, or potentially brutal. Like, you're sitting there like, am I coming home to my wife and kids?
100%.
Day in, day out, you don't know what calls you're gonna get. How do you process that? How do you manage that? Because you see, again, I have cop shows on the brain.
Right.
You always see that pissed off detective who's just like right on the edge, going to the bar right after work.
The one that's smoking a million cigarettes.
Chain smoking cigarettes, yeah.
Chewing on a coffee cup. Yeah. So
the heart attack just waiting to happen.
And unfortunately, I do know a few cops that have passed away because of that, because of the stress, because of the heart attack, because it happens. I was fortunate to have a real strong support system. And one of our chaplains at work told me one time, he said, hey, listen, we're all human beings, and we have a chalice inside of us where we hold all of our bad stuff. Chalice being a big cup inside of us.
Right.
And every once in a while, we have to take that out and pour it out. And I was looking at him and, you know, puzzled, like
Get a
what are you
little
talking about?
metaphysical here, buddy.
How do I reach inside of me and get this thing out, you know? And,
Honestly, it's a good metaphor.
yeah. So he said, no, you get it out by talking to people. You know, you get it off your chest. You talk to people about these bad things that you've seen. And I started doing that because I, as an accident investigator, I've seen a lot of stuff, and I've seen a lot of stuff that people shouldn't see. It's just it's not pretty. Yeah. And I would have nightmares about it and just weird stuff. But I started talking to people and telling people the stories, different stories, and, you know, some might call them, they're cop stories or they're horror stories or whatever, but it's just me. It's my way of getting rid of my stress.
Yeah, and it's not just cop stories, horror stories. It's things that you've either witnessed or experienced that you've been carrying with you.
Yes.
Like a lot of us are sort of fortunate, let's say. We have the luxury of not having to see these things or deal with these things.
And that's because we do them for you.
That's where I was going with it. You got me. Last night somebody was quoting a line from a movie about, you know, you have the luxury of not having to stand up on that wall.
Right.
Yeah, some Jack quote. But
what is it?
It's from A Few Good Men.
Yeah. It's
fantastic delivery too, but not where we're going with this.
Yeah, but yes, that's you know, we do it for you, but that's one thing that with our military, they need to come up with different ways to help people with stress, and I think that's why we're seeing a lot of different things in society too, because I think a lot of mental health comes from people not being able to effectively deal with their stress. Then they turn into drug addicts, and they turn into, you know, maybe they've fallen upon hard times and now they're homeless or something. And so I think that a big part of our society is stress. The everyday stress of life, and people not knowing how to cope and not having the right tools to deal with it. And unfortunately, those are the ones that end up in police shootings or suicides or, you know, murders or whatever. So I mean, I guess I'd be a rich man if I knew the answer. Yeah.
I mean, might be.
Yeah.
But also like helping people to find their way through that and some of the mechanisms. I mean, for you, from what you're describing, it sounds like talk therapy or talking with the chaplain or any of those mitigation strategies is helpful.
Yes, it's very helpful. It's very helpful because those things that we bury deep inside of us, those monsters that we don't let out, you got to let them out once in a while, you know, and not be afraid of them. You got to let them out, and it's okay to cry.
And they're scary, by the way.
Yeah, it's okay to cry. You know, I start talking. Sometimes I'll talk and I'm telling a story, and I'll start tearing up. I can feel it start tearing up.
I remember you choking up a little bit when we were chatting. Yeah. And I note that for myself and for several other folks that I've spoken with, yourself included in this case, that talk therapy has been extremely beneficial. I tend to think it's good for everybody.
I think
but
so.
I don't know that it's something that we can mandate or institutionalize.
Yeah. And you have to teach people it's okay to be vulnerable, right? Yeah. Because when you're talking about those things, you're vulnerable, right? You're opening yourself up. You're letting people know your weaknesses, right? And a lot of times we can't show anybody our weakness because we're this big old bad police officer, or we're this big old bad soldier, or whatever we are, right? Or a man, you know? Or a woman too, but I mean, or just I'm a man.
We only know what it's like to be men in this case. You know, you and me. I can't speak to what it's like to be a woman.
Right, but I'm sure they have their own set of different things like we have. You know, it's like I'm a man. You can't say that to me. You can't do that to me. We have all kinds of stresses.
Yeah, we're all still human. We're all still dealing with similar things. I don't know what society makes other people feel, but we have this idea, and this comes up way too frequently. Maybe it's on my brain. This concept of machismo, or this concept of saving face, or other cultural normatives around, you know, how a man is supposed to behave.
Well, I think the big thing is, and mine, and I know one of my weaknesses, I'm a fix-it guy. I have to fix it. My wife will tell me something, and I'm like I'm stressing out trying to figure out how to fix it, and she's like, I was just telling you, you don't need to.
This is one of the hardest lessons to learn as a current husband. Like, it's, man, we just want to. We think they're bringing problems to us.
It's like, okay, I'll take care of that, or I'll do this and you do that. No, I don't want you to do anything. I was just telling you that that this is broken, or this is broken.
Or I had this argument at work. Well, let me fix it. Oh, where's this guy? I'm going to come at him.
Right.
By the way, I've settled those things. Not proud.
My daughters, I have 3 daughters. And so my daughter was, hey, my car's doing this. Oh, the next thing you know, then I'm out there trying to fix it. You know, oh, my bedroom door's doing this. Oh, my, you know, and so I call myself I'm the fleet manager at home. You know,
it's 3 daughters.
Yes, you know, oh, Dad, my car needs service. Oh, Dad, my windshield wipers aren't working. Oh, Dad, this light's on. Oh, Dad, this light's on.
Well, you are making it real tough for future relationships for them. Those guys are, or girls, whatever they end up with. Good luck. But
yes, I'm setting the bar high.
Hey, you know what? Good for you.
Yes.
Set expectations for them
100%.
That'll help them.
Yeah.
There's that.
Mr. Crow.
I know. I always get the birds. I love doing this stuff outside.
Speaking of that, you know, speaking of different things here, we just had a 3.52 earthquake near Malibu.
No kidding. Boy, Malibu's
I didn't
getting
feel
hammered.
anything. We're pretty close. I mean, we're not that far from it, so.
Did that just pop up?
Yeah.
352, that's...
Decent.
People aren't really going
to... That's decent. Decent. 3 is okay. I mean, it's still low, but...
I'm trying to think of what earthquakes I've been in. I don't think I've been in anything higher than a 4, and that rattled the building pretty good.
Right. So 3, I mean, if we were there, but I mean, we're not that far from Malibu.
No, I mean,
10 miles, maybe.
Dude, we were smelling the fires not too long ago.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I was worried, honestly, that we were going to get rained out today. Just because the deluge kept getting pushed back. I love how we call it a deluge. It rained for a day.
Yes. Well, I was I was in Tennessee for a week. And it rained every day. And it rained, sometimes it rained so hard, and they had 70-mile-an-hour winds, and
oh wow,
and it's not something we're used to. Okay,
so nobody's used to 70-mile-an-hour winds.
My daughter, they're walking around the house and stuff like that. I found myself sitting in a corner like a little baby, trying to find a place to hide in the house.
No,
no.
Yeah. Well, you were thinking back to tornado prep from. Oh man, but you lived out here, so
no, it's like you feel the house moving and shaking.
Yeah, the creaking and the
sounds like a train's. It sounds like you're right next to the train track.
Dude, if it starts sounding like you're right next to the train track, you did the right thing.
Yeah.
Go to growing up with the house. Tornadoes in the center of the house, or my move was always like, hey, get in the bathtub and put something on top of yourself.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
I don't know if it helps, but it feels safe.
Right.
It's uncomfortable.
It's cold.
You want out soon. Yeah. Did you ever have to do any?
No.
I mean, personal disaster relief stuff? No.
No.
Oh, thank goodness. You're not missing out.
I remember when I was a kid, though. I remember disaster stuff here, preparedness stuff. I remember when I was a kid, and I don't know, you said you grew up in Indiana?
No, Northeast Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Basically the same thing.
Close enough.
Cornfields, right?
Yeah. But I remember as a kid, we would have earthquake drills in school out here, and they would ring this bell, and we would have to get out of our desk and go under our desk.
Yeah. Duck and cover is universal in the States.
Well, then they became more aware that, we don't want these kids trapped in these classrooms. So then we started having to exit the building and go out to the field.
Yeah.
It's funny to see that evolve, because you duck and go under the desk, something sturdy. And then, no, we don't want you trapped. If this thing comes down, we want to be out of here. So
they never moved us like that. We would get, it's a couple of things. Like we would get the tornado drills, like you'd hear the sirens. And we'd have to jump under. We would always know it was coming, but like you just said, get under your desk. I remember that as a little kid. But then we ended up having an earthquake in Northeast Ohio. Something that was coming off the Appalachians or something like that. It turns out that's a really strong hot zone that's been a little bit dormant for a minute at that point. I don't know. And part of the gymnasium was collapsing, and we didn't have protocols for this.
Wow, yeah.
So they did the fire drill thing. So just like you said, they
under the desk.
lined us in. Thankfully, out the door.
Outside,
yeah, I'm not putting kids in a fire under a desk. That's nightmare fuel.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy to see that involvement. So but my daughter, she was taught get in the closet or get in somewhere in the center of the house, and because they don't have a cellar, or basement. Sorry.
Well, same. Yeah. Right.
But
all we had was a crawl space. There was no getting under.
Yeah. That's crazy. I think if I was to ever get a house out there, I'd have one with a basement, and that'd be a man cave. You finish it all up.
I'll be honest, it's what I miss about my last place in Ohio was we had a basement that was basically the same square footage as the upstairs.
Beautiful.
Oh man. Yeah. No comparison. I don't see a lot of basements out here.
No.
Didn't see a lot in Texas because the limestone cap.
Yeah. No.
I love that. How much family you have out in Tennessee?
Daughter and granddaughter and son-in-law.
Oh, so they just moved away and went out that way.
Because my son-in-law is in the military. He's in the Army.
Okay.
And so he's stationed at Fort Campbell, which is right on the border of Kentucky and Tennessee.
Very cool.
So they bought a house out there. So they live in Clarksville.
Okay. And you get out there fairly frequently.
Yeah, probably twice a year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you do much other travel?
Yeah, I ride with a law enforcement motorcycle club, and so
Dude.
so I've been to, let's see, speaking of Ohio, I was in like 3 years ago, and I was in Sandusky for a week. Yeah,
Up at like Cedar Point and all
yeah,
that, doing
Lake
all the
Erie, right
rides.
there,
Yeah.
Lake Erie. That's crazy. The Great Lakes. I never, it's kind of like Texas. You see it on a map or whatever, but until you stand on the shore of Lake Erie, you go, "Am I at the beach?"
Yeah. Is this an ocean?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
crazy.
It's funny.
Crazy when you cannot see the other side. I'm like, how is this a lake? I can't see the other side.
Growing up as a kid, the whole lake would freeze over and people would drive their cars across the lake to Canada.
Wow.
Like you would see it on the news, like, oh, they're doing it again.
I was going to say, it's probably a 16-year-old going to Canada to get beer.
Oh, yeah, well, probably. No, I think people just did it.
Yeah.
Like it's, if you can, you do. People are
Yeah,
strange like
yeah,
that.
why not? Yeah,
and I haven't seen that happen 20, 30, 35, 40
I
years.
wonder if it doesn't freeze over as hard anymore. Maybe, yeah.
The winters haven't been as bad.
Yeah.
None of that's a surprise.
I was going to say, global warming, quote unquote.
Well, something's happening.
Yeah.
However we want to look at it, anthropogenic or not. And
Yeah.
I catch a lot of flack from friends for even saying that. But,
It's
it's interesting to watch it, though. I mean, something's happening.
Yeah. That's interesting from your perspective. You used to see the lake freeze over, and I was thinking, now they have like icebergs out there where it's not all frozen over. They have crazy people going out and kayaking in between icebergs out there on Lake Erie.
On Lake Erie, I hope there's no icebergs.
Yeah. No, I'm just talking about big pieces of ice. Pieces of ice.
Yeah. You still get some float.
Yeah.
But nothing like we did when I was a kid.
Man, have you ever been out to Put-in Bay?
I have. Yeah, you take that little ferry boat out there.
Yeah.
It's a cool little deal.
Yeah, fun stuff.
It's funny. There are a ton of bikers that go through there.
Yeah.
A bunch of bars that are sort of open air in the summer, and it's
fun.
It's
Good times.
It's pretty good.
I just think that you're talking about policing and so on and so forth. And I think that that if people that are not police officers can try to understand that need for a relationship, and that the cop actually wants that too. The cop wants that relationship because he knows it's going to make his job easier. He has a job to do, and he knows he's going to do so. Try to foster that relationship and try to understand that from a different perspective, instead of, hey, somebody's telling me what to do, somebody's oppressing me, somebody's putting me down. Mm-hmm. Try to think that they're just trying to make society better for you, and that's...
That brings up something that had come up in our conversations, and I just was in Portland, so it's interesting to watch.
Portland.
It's interesting. I think there's some regret on some of the ways that things have been handled, but we are in a place where it's pretty obvious that there's a lot of conflict, at least televised conflict, maybe real. I can't speak to it, between people and the cops.
Yes.
And once they've done like a full-fledged defund, how do you repair that? Maybe you don't know the answer to that, but I think it's similar to what you were saying.
Yeah, I see this. So
Because it feels like a broken relationship, right?
That may be the people reaching out for that relationship I was talking to too, because I try to, instead of saying, oh, these people don't want this or don't want that, I try to, why are these people, why are they saying defund the police? And and part of the big thing that I took out of the defund the police thing, whether you like it or not, whatever, this isn't politics, it's just a plain, like trying to wrap my mind around it.
Right.
Is that they're screaming that they are under-policed or over-policed, right? They're saying, hey, so we need help with all these mental health issues and so on and so forth, and the police aren't helping because the police are coming here and just killing us because we're a threat to them or whatever happens. Mm-hmm. But why can't we put these people are, I think it's people scrambling for answers. They're saying, we're spending all this money on the police. Sure. Why can't we spend some of that money on mental health?
Yeah.
And I just saw something, speaking of that, there was a, I think it was Northern California. I can't remember where, but I just saw a sheriff of a county say that his police officers are not going to respond to mental health calls anymore. Now,
that might be really responsible.
Well,
but I don't know.
Well, I don't know, because now the fire department is saying, well, when we go to those places, we're going to be in danger now, so we shouldn't send our fire people there.
Oh, so there's a
you see what this
cascading
is
effect
doing.
here.
Yes, you see what this is doing.
Yeah.
And so this is all part of that defund thing, that's making it go, well, hey, okay, so we're not going to send our cops there anymore because you're just going to say that we did something wrong if we go to those calls. So why should we go?
Yeah.
So now they're not going to go. Now the fire department's not going to go. Who's going to take care of these people?
Yeah. Yeah, because we live literally in a society that requires certain structures in place.
It leaves a big hole. I don't know the answer. I don't think either side is wrong. I think that they're struggling to come up with an answer. And I think these people that are protesting, and defund the police and stuff, they're struggling to come up with an answer too. I don't think that they believe that that's a correct answer. I think that they're screaming for something to be better.
Yeah, and nobody's coming with solutions that seem to resolve for either side.
But I don't know that there is a solution, bro. I don't know. I mean,
I think we're talking about something more systemic.
Right.
I mean, you were talking about the mental health issues or the stresses,
right.
and it isn't just with the police, and
no,
it isn't
it's
just with
society.
high density communities.
Right. It's just society. We're human beings, and we suffer with that, and so, but. Defunding is not the answer. Not going to calls is not the answer either.
Definitely not.
Right. So, because I think, if I recall correctly, so there's something that it's a law issue. It's called qualified immunity. And so basically it's an issue of the court where if you use force against somebody as a police officer, as long as you're there for a legitimate reason and you're trying to do the right thing. You know, sometimes people force your hand.
Things go sideways.
Yes. But you have qualified immunity if they come to bring a lawsuit against you.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that. Okay.
Now, in California, they just took that away.
Oh.
If they took it away if you're not there on a crime-related call.
Is this okay? So a mental health crisis would not
Is not a
necessarily
crime-related
qualify.
call. So this sheriff says, I'm not going to put my people out there.
Because he can't.
Right, because now what's going to happen when they're going to bring lawsuits against these people. So it's just a one big vicious cycle, and I don't know how to break it. I mean, I don't.
Because I'm imagining a situation where somebody gets called in for mental health support, and what you are trained to do is, in certain ways, de-escalate, and then in other ways detain, sometimes through use of force.
Right.
So you're putting somebody's hands behind their back and trying to keep them from
fighting.
causing damage. Of course they're fighting.
Right.
And they're going through something internally that they can't express or that they can't cope with.
Right.
Which is going to lead them to potentially being dangerous.
And then when they're dangerous, I have to protect myself. And
Right.
so that it's just a big vicious circle. I don't know. Like I said, but I saw that since you brought that up, I was just so basically this, I think it was a Ninth Circuit court in California, and I'll just,
There's a lot of conversation
we'll stay
there.
out of politics.
Yep.
But I think that they took away qualified immunity if the police were not on a crime-related call. I have not read anything on it. I just heard a little blurb from this sheriff of some Northern California county. He said, my deputies aren't going to go to those calls anymore.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the news got it. The news went, oh, and then they went and they talked to the fire people, and the fire people said, well, now I'm going to send my fire guys out there, but now they're not going to have any protection if they go out on this. What are they going to do?
And is it even in the fire guys, or is it the EMTs? And do they have,
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
I don't know what their
EMTs are
training
usually
is. It's
fire
more
guys.
medical.
Yeah,
Right. My dad did both.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but usually if those guys have something or something like that goes out, usually the police go with them and they're there. You know, it's,
Which makes sense. And so now
now,
I mean, it seems like we're opening up a whole different branch of support. I don't want to call it enforcement in this case,
but then
spirals up.
Right. So what happens when that
someone in crisis?
So what happens when the social worker goes to this, what might have been a police call?
Yeah.
As
And
this
they have
social
no
worker,
protection.
he's gonna use his verbal judo to de-escalate this thing. Maybe.
Hopefully, I like to think that they could.
You hope so.
Like have had to use verbal jujitsu in the past,
Yeah.
and it's
you hope so.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to see that, and then see that qualified immunity go away, and that's because things that have happened, and where police are being held accountable, which is good. They should be held accountable. If they're wrong, they're wrong. I mean, I get it, but at some point, you need to know the situation you're putting them in. And this sheriff, I mean, he came out and said it. I'm not going to put my guys in that situation.
Yeah.
I mean, good for him having their back, but That's a bad.
It sets precedent.
We don't want to be in that. We don't want to be where the cops aren't going to come to this kind of call or this kind of call or this kind of call.
Exactly.
You don't want that.
Exactly. And it's we seem to be moving closer and closer to a societal discussion where we were talking about how there's the machismo and we're not allowed to talk about this. We're not allowed to show our feelings or share our feelings. And I think that we're moving towards having to have that discussion more out in the open, and
Yes.
it's not gonna be comfortable.
No.
It will rub people the wrong way.
Oh, just like this is going to rub people the wrong way that we're talking about this stuff.
Oh, maybe. Will it? I don't know. This seems pretty. Yeah, you're probably right. I am naive, as has been said in the past.
Sometimes, like you said, people don't want to have that conversation, and I'm okay with having that conversation. It's
Yeah.
not a big deal, and it's not. And like I said,
Most individuals
you've heard my
are.
disclaimer a couple of times. We're not talking about politics.
Yep. I don't blame you. I don't want to either. I don't necessarily feel qualified to.
No.
I have
Me
my
either, really.
perspective.
Yeah, me either, really.
I go talk to a bunch of people and figure out their perspectives,
listen,
but that doesn't equal politics.
And listen and see, if everybody would realize that you may believe different than me, and that's okay, because we're both Americans. We're both human beings.
Yeah.
We're both, So if we realize that,
Yeah.
and understand that and accept that,
Yeah.
because that's what's wrong with half the world. Somebody can believe in this religion or this religion, and they want to kill them because they don't believe in their religion or something like that. It's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, stop.
That's wild to me.
You can believe that trash can is your God, and I'm going to say, great, go pray to your God. I'm cool with that, man.
Yeah.
I got your back while you take care of your business.
There's the old, I don't even know if it's a joke or not anymore, but there's the old flying spaghetti monster meme from the 90s, I think.
Yes. It's okay. It's okay. Whatever you believe, it's okay. But people need to understand that. And I think maybe that's part of another thing that got me through life as well as I did, because I believe you can think differently than me. I don't have to force my opinion on you. Now, that's where knowing the Constitution comes in handy too, is I know what you have to do.
Yeah.
Okay? I know what the laws are, and I know what you have to do. But other than that, you're allowed to do whatever you want. We're a free society. You can do whatever you want.
We're doing our best to be a free society. Well, we're also doing our best not to be a free society anymore.
Yeah, I know.
We live in those accursed interesting times.
Right.
Our grandmothers always.
Yes, and what a free society used to look like and what a free society would look like now are completely different, because people have a lot of different ideas.
Yeah. And a lot of people have a lot of different control mechanisms in place. A lot of different control mechanisms in place that can exist, and a lot more oversight. And I don't need to get all tinfoil hat about data and all the things I'm experiencing in the world, but the world is getting very different.
Yes.
And I think we're all sort of racing to figure out what that looks like and how we engage with each other moving forward.
Right.
I think it's awesome, by the way.
I think as long as we have, like this dialogue right here is important.
This is why I do this stuff.
This is important.
Partly because I just love talking to people, and partly because I think more people can benefit from either having conversations or listening in on conversations. And people can listen to this and say, oh, these two are privileged assholes. They don't know what they're talking about. And we might be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I only know what I've gone through in life.
Me too.
Me too. And I've had fascinating conversations with people who are pointing out all the ways I had it better. And I'm like, yeah, I did have it better in some ways.
Yeah.
I also had it worse in other ways that you'll never see.
But the other part of that is that when people say that kind of stuff, I say, is that my fault?
Yeah. Is
that my fault that maybe your parents didn't choose that track, or that you didn't choose that track, or that, because I get a pension now and I have some friends that are just pissed off at me because it's
hard not to be pissed off at you. I want a pension, man.
You get a pension? I say, yeah, well, I worked 30 years plus, 30 years plus, going to work every day not knowing if I'd come home tomorrow, And now I have the scars. I mean, I have high blood pressure, high cholesterol and everything else. It's just,
you still hit the gym. You still work out. You make sure that you're moving.
I try, yeah. I do my thing, yeah.
And you're willing to talk to people, which is a big part of, I think, relieving that stress, keeping the blood pressure down.
100%.
I got some family members that I keep pushing towards versions of this, and they'll yell at me or laugh at me if they listen to this.
Well, that's okay.
But I think it's useful.
It's good.
I think it's helpful. It's helped me a ton. My blood pressure's never been a real issue, but a lot of other tensions and stressors and mental health issues have stemmed. It doesn't always equal blood pressure, right?
Right.
It doesn't always equal heart attacks.
No.
Rob Cochran, really appreciate you, man.
No, it's my pleasure, bro.
Yeah, dude. We'll stay in touch, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear what that sounded like.
Yeah, I know.
As the microphones crash. Yeah, hit me up whenever I'm around.
Yeah, you got my number.
Yeah, cool. Likewise. And brother, thank you so much for sitting down.
No worries. It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see you.
Good stuff. Yeah, you'll see me
See
around.
you again. I'll see you around.